Hello again. So I've been trying to figure out something that I could discuss. And I guess April 1st was when I finally figured out something that was actually quite near and dear to me that kind of came to mind. And it was due to an article that was posted in the official Welsh news of the finding of a sword at Llyn Ogwen in Snowdonia, Wales, next to a lake. Now, since then, I've been doing some research on the particular weapon that they have been discussing, and my gut instinct when I first saw it was that it was an April Fool's hoax, which was verified when um, I took a closer look at the actual blade itself. Now, with that in mind, Excalibur is a very well-known sword throughout legend. Um, it originated in some of the earliest works of the Arthurian legend, one, of course, being the Dream of Rhonabwy, which discusses the sword, not necessarily by name, as a design with two chimeras, or serpents, depending on the translation, upon the golden hilt, and when unsheathed it was like fire escaping from their mouths. It was a sight to behold. Um, a lot of times in the legend, it also has engraved on the blade. On one side, take me up. On the other side, cast me away. Uh, the thing about Excalibur is that a lot of different outlets have portrayed it in different ways as being this this hand and a half sword, or this long sword that is very ornate and very elaborate looking, much like Joyeuse, Charlemagne's sword. One thing we have to consider is that Arthur himself existed in a time period where um, they didn't really focus on that kind of stuff. They didn't have kings per se. They had warlords, they had chieftains and whatnot. So the idea of a sword that is ornate like that would be kind of rare. Now, um, I do believe that Arthur actually existed. And I do believe that he was either some type of warlord or some type of general, either of Roman or Celtic descent. Um, and with that in mind, the saying, for example, that he was a warlord from the Celtic tribes, he would have probably wielded something Celtic, I'm guessing, and most of the time because of the price of metal and weapons and whatnot back then. It would have been more than likely an antique passed down from generation to generation. Another option is, of course, that he got it off of somebody that he had killed. If he was a Roman, which I believe is the most likely candidate, is that he was a Roman, he would have probably wielded the sword very common to a Roman cavalry officer, which would have been a spatha, much like this. Nothing too elaborate, iron-bladed weapon. Standard, a little bit longer than a Roman gladius, but it was made for a specific purpose of the horseman's sword, which would have been a secondary weapon. They would have carried a spear and shield, since they were, mowing down people on horseback. Uh, there are legends that state that it was made from, the blade was forged from a fallen star, which, as fanciful as it sounds, if they had access to metal from meteorites, then it would not be that far-fetched that they could have had something like that. The sword was first mentioned by name by Geoffrey of Monmouth, and it was called Caliburn. The Welsh pronunciation of the sword would have been Caladvolk. Needless to say, it's not that far-fetched, the idea that such a sword could have existed. People back then named their swords like people nowadays name their cars. It's not that uncommon. But regardless, the news article that I saw was obviously a hoax. It was really well done and it was very well fabricated, but even if it were real, the idea of specifically pointing it to one particular sword is almost completely impossible, for the simple fact that unless it actually states on the sword, this is Excalibur, or Culled since it's Welsh, uh, it can't be pinpointed to one person. It just can't. Um, Anyway, I mean, this will be basically the first of probably multiple videos talking about the Arthurian topic, since that's kind of a passion of mine. Um, if you have any questions about what I've basically gone over in this particular video, or anything of that nature, by all means, please just leave a comment below. I can go over more about it. Or if you have even more news to talk about, go ahead and let me know. Um, if you're interested in the type of stuff that I plan to talk about, by all means subscribe. And like I said, I mean, if there's certain things that you have an interest in that you would like to see, just let me know, and I will obviously I'll put it in the content and whatnot as well. Thank you for tuning in and listening. I will talk to you later.